Welcome to FCC Supporter Square, the show for fans, by fans, and about fans. Here are your hosts, Matt Warman, Boston Brazel, and Mark Suffin.
Hey everybody, it's another episode of FCC Supporter Square. I'm your host, Matt Warman, and your Natalie dressed co-host is Boston Brazel. Mark has a son who's getting married out of state. No particular nefarious reason, just that he lives out of state, so that's where he's getting married. Anyhow, he's off getting prepped for that, and you just don't want to see Mark in the tux talking about FC Cincinnati. That would be a very strange thought to put in your head, but there you go. So last Saturday was our second of two road matches. I happened to be in Chicago. I happened to get good seats. As a matter of fact, a lot of people kept sending me screenshots of me from Apple Plus, I guess. We were sitting right by I guess the supporters, I guess is what you would call them. I don't know what you would call them. I counted a total of 8 flags and 2 drums. That's all they had, and maybe 1 horn, I think. But that was crazy. But it was yet another win, a 1-goal win, but quite frankly, that last goal by Chicago, I think, was still iffy. I just had to watch the recap just to see what was going on. So, Boston, did you watch the game? Did you have some thoughts on how we looked in Chicago?
Of course I did. Beautiful game. Love seeing a multi-goal game by FC Cincinnati Strikers, right? There was even on this podcast, right? We've talked a little bit about production, making sure our big money guys bring the power, bring the show up, put the dollars where their feet are, I guess. But we saw that this was the game we saw that, right? 3 goals, all from big dollar, people you would expect production from. And absolutely, I mean, if I told you FC Cincinnati goes on the road and picks up multiple wins, I think no matter how it happens, you take it. You don't even care how it happens.
Road wins are very tough, and particularly with this team. So I said before the Chicago match that this was going to be a tough match, and if Vander plays, because he was still injured at the time, if he plays, that we might win 1-0, because that's a tough team. It's Greg Berhalter, It's Berhalter ball, so I'm not expecting a lot from them, at least not yet anyway. But they have been playing really tough. They were like 8th in the standings. I think they stayed 8th because everybody else below them lost as well. That's a team that's playing well, and they haven't played well at home, but you know that they were going to. Now, the week before, they had 68,000. I can tell you,
and they played well.
That they did not have 68,000.
Yeah, maybe we already touched on this, but they played really well against the messy mania that is Miami.
Yeah, it was a 0-0 draw. They had they had, I think, the better of the 2 chances. The two sides, I thought they played better. So you going in, you're like, okay, well, they have to play well, and then we won, but we won in kind of a dominant fashion. And I've been saying this, and I'm going to say it again, because I say it every week, is wait till they start to gel. Well, we've had to wait. The delay was because of injuries and all kinds of other things, but mostly injuries. This was the first time that we had Miazga on the pitch, Vander on the pitch, Denke on the pitch, and Orishano on the pitch, all at the same time. Now, we only had, just like Hagelin, he came in, I think, for a brief time, and then 45 minutes, and then he's now playing 90. I think you're seeing the same thing with that. Miazga had an appearance at DC. He played a half, and he played a fairly strong half. Robinson played pretty well, except for a couple of small little things. I honestly, I think that foul in the second half, because it was on my side of the field.
No, Robinson played fantastic. If you're going to criticize a center back, you can say Miazga got burnt to toast because he wasn't fully healthy and he just couldn't keep up.
He was a step behind the runner, but he didn't know whether to stop ball or
I think
that
Robinson
was a
stopped 4
jailbreak.
Chicago goals there at the end.
But up until that point, and really, Chicago never really threatened.
Mm.
They would applied some pressure at times and would look somewhat dangerous, but it felt like FC Cincinnati was just the better team out there, and that's
Yeah.
great with a team like Chicago in Chicago. Um, it was hat night, bucket hat night, so I have a Chicago bucket hat. Oh boy, I don't know
Does
where
it
I'll wear
fit?
that
Does it fit?
at. Yeah, they're big buckets.
All right.
Uh,
I went to a Nashville game on bucket half night a couple years ago, and they cheaped out, and the bucket hat doesn't fit anything but maybe a child size head.
Oh my gosh, I think this was 5,000. You could get plenty of bucket hats and it's reversible. So
Ooh.
yeah, so it's got two kinds of team I don't like on it. So and it's always fun, but it's like we scored a goal and there's some they have an interesting thing. This is just for non-soccer, right? Because we're not analysts. We're due to see things. They had a really cool setup in Soldier Field. Is they had a bunch of on either side of the south side of the stadium next to the net were like the VIPs, right? So they had tables and people were coming in and doing some things, but you could sit and drink and watch the game basically where the vanguard would be or on either side of the vanguard. So that was kind of interesting. But we scored our second goal, and 12-year-olds are giving me one finger salutes and they're trying to yell at me, and I'm like, I know better than this. This is not the first time I've had to deal with kids. It's like they were pointing at me with their finger, and I was pointing at the scoreboard with my finger, the non-middle finger, up at the scoreboard. I'm like, you can say all you want. Score says I don't have to worry about what you're saying.
There's a little bit of passion in the Chicago crowd, especially in the supporter groups over there, that I think like I don't know if you're the average Cincinnati fan, you may not realize because Chicago does have an ownership group that kind of does low key spend money, but you wouldn't know because they just haven't been like a dominant club, and since FC Cincinnati's been in the when we joined, you had Bastion Schweinsteiger or whatever being like the big Chicago Fire player. That was probably like the end of the era that we really remember. Um, have I ever told you my Chicago Fire Open Cup story?
No, please go ahead.
Yeah. So this their fans are pretty passionate, and this was like my first um big thing. And like in USL, the one thing I really remember is like fighting with Louisville fans, like our big rivalry. But everything else was really tame. Well, we start playing these MLS teams in our big Open Cup run. Everybody remembers the big run where we played, Columbus Crew, then we played Chicago, and then we played New York. Well, that Chicago game, a lot of Fire fans came down from Chicago to see what all this fuss was about the USL FC Cincinnati club is, and then probably thought they were going to railroad us. I think at the time it was like, oh, Columbus botched that game. There's no way another MLS club's going to lose to USL FC Cincinnati, right? So there was a lot of Fire fans, and they were part of that supporter group that they have there, Section 18, what is it, Section something, and they are a hardcore supporter group. So we beat the Fire. That's like the whole night that Andrew Wiedemann was so pumped. He went back to his whole like meme, right? Like posted it on social media. Cincinnati fans, we were like riding sky high. The Chicago supporter groups did not know how to handle that defeat. Like they were crushed. And then I don't think like the over celebration by Cincinnati fans was taken well. So I'm leaving the Bailey. I'm sitting in the Bailey that night. I'm had the best night of my life. Just watched a win in the Open Cup. And I'm crossing you remember where that traffic jam would get like all bunched up at Nippert Stadium on that little bridge,
Yeah.
like in between the Bailey. I'm crossing that bridge, and a bunch of Fire supporter fans from Chicago were ripping down our banners. Like like the big Pride banner that used to hang on that bridge back in the day at Nipper Stadium. They're ripping that down. They're ripping, and I see them stealing our stuff. And then I don't know what kind of came over me because I'm not like a confrontational guy. But I was like, those bastards. And I like run after him. I'm like, hey, and I just take off. And it's like me chasing these Fire supporters like through the concourse of Nippert Stadium. And I chasing this guy down, and I reach, he had stuffed the entire Pride ginormous banner into a ball under his shirt. And he's like running. And I chase after him, and I catch up to him, and I reach my hand under this guy's jersey, and I like rip our banners back, and and they start chasing me now because I've got all this stuff, and I run, and I find some like security people, and I just kind of like stand there next to them, and they start cursing at me, yelling at me because I'm hiding next to security, but I didn't know what else to do, and I'm just like, I'm pumped full of adrenaline. I'm like, I saved our tifos, I saved our stuff, and all these Pride guys are giving me high fives, like, oh, good job, dude, we saw that, and wild. But that's like my biggest Chicago Fire memory is like saving our banners from being stolen from Chicago's group.
It's very strange. So you got to remember that Chicago a couple of years ago moved back to Soldier Field. They had their own soccer stadium, but it was in the middle of nowhere, and nobody wanted
Yeah, out
to
in the
go out there.
burbs, right?
Right. So nobody was attending. So they moved it back to Soldier Field. Their Bailey, I don't know what they call it, their Bailey, so to speak, is probably half, a
Mm,
third of,
brutal.
of our Bailey sections. It reminded me of the Indy 11, if you went to that game
Yeah,
back in the day. It was
yeah.
about that size. Pittsburgh Riverhounds. I mean, it might hold 1,000 if everybody shows up, maybe. And that was just kind of weird to see that they're a major MLS team, and I think we had more people in the stadium than they had in their Bailey. That's just kind of interesting. But it was a fabulous time. A huge shout out to Dustin. He had already scouted some things, so we already had he not a hotel room, but we had a place. We booked our hotel, our room at his hotel, which was a great deal, and it wasn't too far for a walk for pizza. It wasn't too far a walk to the Irish pub, which most people were at. And then wasn't too far of a walk to the stadium. So overall, it was just a glorious night. And
Awesome.
you know, what we're seeing is this team is going to begin to gel. I
Yeah.
think this Saturday's game is going to be huge for us as a team really kind of coming out. I really feel it's a lesser opponent. It's at home. It's going to be 68 degrees or 65 degrees. It's going to be not hot, not cold. It's going to be everybody hasn't seen them in a couple of weeks, so everybody's going to be rabid. I think this is going to be a huge event, a kind of a coming out party. Hopefully, it'll buoy our efforts the next couple of weeks because I think if you see a 2 or 3 nothing score line and people going nuts, I think that's what the team needs. That's what the fans need. Um, that one goal, the PK, I didn't think I thought he got it cleanly. It wasn't any more than 15 yards from where we
Yeah.
were sitting.
Yeah. I mean, here's the good news. When you score 3, you don't have to worry so much about little calls like that,
Oh,
right? Like you do your job. You don't have to
right.
worry. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Um, now that we know, FC Cincinnati's on this 4-game winning streak, they're doing pretty well. They're not destroying teams, but they're doing their traditional one, win by a goal, right? I think I saw a stat that they've won 80% of the games they've played by 1 goal. It's crazy. But they haven't played Miami, they haven't played Chicago, Columbus, but the other in the top 5, they have played Charlotte and lost, and they have played Philadelphia and lost. Uh, if you're below the top 5, is your expectation that we should win? Like we're going up against a top five team this weekend. We're going up against a top five team here the next couple weeks. And then eventually we will play Columbus. Eventually we will play Philadelphia again. Eventually we will play Charlotte again. Are we supposed to win
Yes.
any of these games at this point?
Yes, absolutely yes. So look at this team. I mean, we just spent $30 million. I mean, for other leagues, that's not a huge sum, but for this league, spending $30 million on two players is ginormous. And we need those players to pan out, right? In years past, we paid too much money for not enough talent because somebody said they were good, but they were a head case or beyond their prime years or whatever it was. There were several things, but this organization wants to win, has the talent in the front office to get the transactions to win. The news of Thomas Mueller, I think the general consensus, and we can talk about this later, was he's 35. Do we really need this guy? Where's he going to play? Who are you going to sit? Are you going to sit Buka? Seriously.
It's real, though.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it's good, but that's what I'm saying is that you look at this team, and it is a team. We've been saying this the last few weeks, regardless of injuries, regardless of performance, this is now a team. It was Acosta and a bunch of people helping Acosta. Now this is Cincinnati. This is FC Cincinnati helping FC Cincinnati. They are you take out Obi, and Obi is great. Don't get me wrong. He is our starter. But Anunga is, as I
filling
said,
in, yeah, nicely.
Obi like he's doing everything he needs to do. We don't like Obi. Take another week off. We're playing Sporting Kansas City. So yeah, if we're playing the bottom of it, we now have not just 11 players.
Yeah,
I think there was a period of time where we had 11 players, and if they got wore out, then we are done. Now we have a full complement of 18 players that can do it. Look. Evander goes out for 20 minutes. Dado comes in. Nobody's going to say, "Oh, okay, now we're trouble." It's like if we gave up a goal and we need a goal, Dado can do it in the last 20 minutes. I mean, that's his role is to protect the lead. But I wouldn't feel bad about. I mean, I'd rather have Evander out there. Don't get me wrong. But if we swap out Evander, it's like, okay, no, we better hang on because we're not going to get another sniff at the goal.
Yeah. You brought up the Thomas Mueller, so we got to talk about it. I was surprised to hear FC Cincinnati went after Thomas Mueller. I was more surprised, and I have it on pretty good authority, that they didn't even offer him a DP. They tried to get this guy on a normal non-DP contract.
You got to go for it. I mean, he's 35. I don't know who's going to hire him in Europe. I mean, he's well past his prime. But
the guts though, to be like, hey, why don't you come play for us? We're not even going to give you a lot of money. You're just gonna play on like a TAM contract.
15 minutes and get the German fans out and the Bayern fans out, and
it's like I can see Jeff Birdie. You just being like, hey, you'd be so lucky just to even play for us. You need just like flip it around on him.
All the Heineken you want to drink.
He's like, hey, it'd probably help your career to play for FC Cincinnati.
Yeah, you'd be part of that cup run that came in during the summer. Yeah, so yeah, I don't see Thomas Mueller playing at a lesser league.
No, it's not happening.
Like Eredivisie or one of those leagues. I don't know if anybody else is going to sign him at his age and what he's been doing.
He doesn't have to pull a Frankie Amaya and tuck his tail between his legs and come back to Major League Soccer.
Oh, yes, I saw that. So I do not typically write or follow too much the Facebook FCC group, but I had to write something on there when they said somebody posted Amaya coming back to LAFC, and I said, "Why am I booing?"
It's a shame we don't play LA. We don't play LAFC. So if we play Frankie, it's gonna be MLS Cup, right?
Yeah, it would have to be.
I'll take that.
It,
I'll
it
take
would
that.
absolutely, yeah, I would likely be here. That's what I would hope. That would be absolutely special. That's worth the price of admission to see that matchup. But is the LAFC is towards the top of the cup? I know that the Galaxy is fallen to the bottom and that kind of thing. So it's
Yeah. They
way too
won
early to
too.
even worry about Western Conference.
Sure. LA is 7th. They have 13 points. FC Cincinnati is 19. So we would host as of today.
We'll just keep that as a weekly cup watch. every every episode here, we'll just keep saying, where are we in the standings? Where I guess
Yeah.
we're still going to be hosting this thing.
Will we? Won't we play Frankie and Maya? That could be like the big like fictional storyline we create that no one else is caring about except for us.
That's the way. That's how good we are. That's what we're only concerned about how if Frankie will actually come off the bench as a six. Uh, yeah, so we have Sporting KC. Sporting KC started the year with their longtime coach and then parted ways. The team hasn't been good for a couple of years. I don't really know if they have any plans in the summer window, but we're not hitting the summer window anyway. Um, this in Montreal, in my mind, home or away, would be um, games that I would expect to win. And not only win, but win kind of handily. Um, and that's where it is, right? So we haven't played the top team. Everything is working out this season, given the the barriers that we've had, the injuries, the multiple games a week early in the season, preventing this team from having practices, or getting settled into Cincinnati. Because I mean, Danke and Evander basically came. Well, Danke was here a little bit, but Evander came here and then, well, thanks, go to Mexico.
Mm.
Right? So now they're settling in. They're settling into to our town, the culture, the league. Of course, Evander's been here for a while. You're beginning to see that. The Chicago game is something that you see. That was the glimpse of, and it's still not there yet. And we're going to need the full skills when we play Miami and Columbus. Right? Columbus is coming up in a couple of weeks. The Columbus game is like the 17th. I know this because I'll be in New York City that weekend, so I will not be going to the Columbus match. Uh,
Mm.
but by that match, we should be hitting on all cylinders.
Mm.
Teenage Davy should be back and
Oh,
integrated. I
please.
mean, Hagelin comes off the bench or Flores comes off the bench, right? So when Hadavi comes in, who do you sit? And are you really
Sheesh.
concerned if anybody if they replace them in for the 60th minute?
Yeah. No, I think you're talking about the scenario if no one else goes down. Obi and Hadabi coming back. You talked about the improvement of FC Cincinnati just getting for the first time our big three up top. Jeez, what happens when our center back? We have an extra center back. We have an extra midfielder. We look good. Um, that's the dream, right? I feel like no matter what, even in this 4-game win streak, we are not healthy. And you see it, the MLS writers have even said like, watch out for Cincinnati when they're finally rolling. And I'm knocking on wood every time somebody says that because I feel like every time we almost get there, somebody goes down. But no, I don't know. I would have said Hadabi over Haglund all day long, but then Haglund decided to play lights out, and I'm like, why are we paying this guy $80,000 a year? He's our best freaking center back all of a sudden. Like nothing makes sense anymore, man.
I don't know. I mean, a couple of years ago, everybody was like, "Okay, Hags, I know it was the Cincinnati kid and it felt good and all that stuff, but
Oh yeah, I was
really,
his biggest critic.
you should be the ambassador because you did get signed up." We're
Yeah,
like, "Yeah, that
yeah,
sounds right." And then suddenly he decided, like, "No, I think I'm going to play now."
yeah.
And then
Go
he
hang
gets
out with
injured.
Corgan Bone. Your time's over. Yeah.
Then he gets injured and comes back and plays even better. I'd like,
Yeah.
how are you doing this? He
Wild.
shut down Benteke, and he was getting not only that, I think because he learned from Miazga, he was getting in Benteke's head.
Mm. We're gonna have
Benteke,
to sit Denki this game. You know why? Here's a little FCC trivia for you. What FC Cincinnati player has 4 goals against Sporting Kansas City and 1 assist, 5 contributions?
Is that Haglin? Who is that?
Corey Baird.
Are you kidding me? I've been waiting 2 years to see him do his little crab dance.
Corey Baird,
He's
the one
goal.
team that's Corey Baird's kryptonite is Sporting Kansas City when he played in the Western Conference.
Oh, so are we going to sit Santos then?
Yeah, put them all on the bench. Sit Evander, sit Denke. Just give this one over to Corey and let him do his thing.
There you go. So I would imagine that we'll come out with a full contingent, and how we play probably dictates any rotation. But it would be nice to get in, get a comfortable win. I mean, we don't need to blow these guys out. I mean, obviously, if it's 5-0, it's I've been on enough on the other side of 5-0 beatdowns, and watched 7-0 beatdowns the first wooden spoon years.
Right.
To do it to somebody else is fine. I don't think we need to do that, but if Evander scores a brace or Danke scores a couple of goals, both of those guys feel good. I'd like to see Orishano score in this mix because Evander and
Slow
Danke
down a bit.
and Orishano was close twice in Chicago.
Yeah, he
So
likes the
he's
post.
just to get him back into to feeling good about himself.
Sure.
I'd like to. I would say probably 3-0 is what I'm looking at.
Wow. You're not taking any. You're not giving SKC any credit on their 2-game win streak. They like kicked the crap out of San Jose last week, like 5 goals, 5-3 or something. They have no defense still, but
And we do. We do. That's what I'm saying. It's like
yeah,
we've been playing some. Chicago has had a like 2-game win streak, and they were
that's
looking
true.
really good. Or they had
That's
a
fair.
tie at home against Miami. They looked. Are you think Sporting? Let's put it this way. Do you think Sporting Kansas City at home could hold Miami to a 0-0 draw?
No.
Okay. Do you think they would score against Miami, who has a decent defense, but not ours?
The chance of them scoring against Miami is greater than the chance of them holding Miami off the scoreboard.
I don't
But
believe that. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
yeah.
that with
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
played.
I think they put 1 on Miami. Maybe their attackers SKC attack has finally come alive. Much to their fans, wait. Their fans have been waiting the entire year for that to happen, and then in the last 2 games, poof, SKC attack is here. But yeah, our center backs, our midfield over their midfield and their center backs all day long. I'm with you, man. Like I think we got a team. Although I'm not as optimistic as you, I can't go 3-0. I think the FCC still lets one slide through because we just seem to do that even against whatever team. So I'm gonna go 2-1.
Okay, I think those either of those scores are valid. But they look just so dominant against a really good Chicago team on the road with the
Yeah.
fans, with them beginning to gel yet another week together. I think this is where the switch begins to get turned on and the fans start getting there. I think the national media, as you say, might start getting there because, yeah, we're not winning with smoke and mirrors. We're winning with good players that are playing as a team. And that's something that here in Cincinnati we just haven't had. And it's so nice to see plugging in, as I said, the players that we have. We still don't even have, I mean, nobody has talked about Yuya Kubo. He's still out too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that guy.
Exactly. When you forget about Yuya Kubo, who scored 10 goals last season, and you go, who? Kubo. Oh yeah, that is he still on our team? Then you
Yeah.
go, that's a team. This is how good this team is. Is that we're not even talking. We're not even worried about Yuya. Take your time. Take your time, brother. We'll get you in instead of Santos when you're ready. Be fully healed. We're not putting anybody out there with one leg. So that's good.
No pirates here.
So any final words before we head out?
I'm just excited to have the team back. I don't know why, but this road trip spree just felt kind of long to me. I don't think it was that bad, but um, I miss going to soccer games in Cincinnati, dude. So I hope everybody has a blast out at TQL Stadium. I'm pretty sure this is true. This is going to be the first spring, warm, non-rainy, non-cold game of the year. So you don't have to worry too much about weather. You can just ball out, go to the park, go to the restaurants, and enjoy a nice warm game for once.
It is kids. It is Kids Day, so they're having a whole bunch of festivities. The supporter groups are having kid friendly activities down at Washington Park. It is a 2:30 game, so for those who are interested in going, it is going to be 65 degrees. It's going to be the first time that I get to pull out shorts. I can
Nice.
tell you it was 50 degrees in Chicago. So
Yeah.
I wore a short sleeve shirt. I wore my kit shirt and long pants. So I'm looking forward to
Mm.
kind of getting the first
Yeah.
warm game
You know
of
how
the
the
year.
sun would bounce off the Nippert glass? Is there a risk that the sun bounces off your pale legs and blinds players on the field?
That's why I wear soccer socks. There's not a whole lot of skin to be seen on this guy. I have a cape, right? So
Yeah.
that does everything. Actually, I wasn't on Apple TV. The cape was on Apple TV.
Ah,
If you saw it, it was the cape, and people were
the alter
they're like, "Oh,
ego.
what signatures are on that?" So that's, you know, selfless pug. So anyhow, that's all the time that we have here on FCC Supporter Square. We hope to see you next time.
Thank you for joining FCC Supporter Square. The hosts are Matt Warman, Boston Brazel, and Mark Suffolk. The intro song is Quick on the Holster by the Stone Bunnies, and the ending song is Awesome Sauce, also by the Stone Bunnies. Thank you for listening. Please join us again.